Mr. Speaker, may I first of all congratulate you on your appointment. This is also my first opportunity in the House of Commons to thank the people of Lanark-Carleton for putting their trust in me as their Member of Parliament. I want to thank the Minister of Finance for convening this special pre-budget debate. This is a worthwhile extension of the cross-country consultations that the Minister has held during the past 10 days. But the most important consultation with the people of Canada took place late last year, and each of us, during an intensive 47-day election campaign, heard firsthand from Canadians how they feel about their country and how they feel about their governments. The economy of my riding, which is just west of Ottawa, includes small businesses, farms, manufacturers, and the centre of Canada's high technology industry. The people of Lanark-Carleton have felt the full impact of the recession and the realignment of international trade. I have been impressed by the tenacity and resilience demonstrated by many small business owners. I am sure all honourable members listened during the election campaign to countless individual examples of economic hardship, of personal bankruptcies, jobs lost, or families squeezed by ever-increasing taxes demanded by every level of government. On October 25th, Canadians voted for change. We demanded change from a system that fostered dependency to one that rewarded initiative. Change from a climate of worry to a climate of hope. And change from a system of privilege to a system of fairness. Mr. Speaker, when the first budget of this government is presented, it will be judged by the men and women of Lanark-Carleton on how we live up to our commitment to change. There is no shortage of ideas available to the Minister as he prepares the budget. There are only difficult choices, and therefore we need a set of principles to guide us as we make those choices. In particular, we need to reward individual initiative and those who create jobs for other Canadians. We must be fair, and we must agree that taxes are too high and that people have said enough. In the short time I have today, I want to mention a few specific items. Whether we like it or not, each federal budget influences the behavior of Canadians. There will always be trade-offs, but the issue of fairness, as perceived by taxpayers, must be addressed. Though we try to make the tax system neutral, society is too complex for the tax system to accommodate all of our differences. Personal taxation has been based on the traditional family unit. But we must come to grips with the realities of change in that family unit, whether it be single parents, working couples, or stay-at-home dads. Like many Canadians, I am wrestling with how we can make the system more fair by allowing for these differences. Several residents of Lanark-Carleton have suggested we look at the income of the family unit as a whole. There's a sense that families that decide to have one parent remain at home while raising children are penalized by the tax system. One suggestion, which I personally support, would allow income splitting between spouses while they have dependent children. I've also heard from many people who are very concerned that the budget may target RRSP contributions. It is easy to portray this tax expenditure as a benefit for the rich. However, for many self-employed people and others who do not have the security of a company or government pension plan, RRSPs represent their best opportunity to save for their retirement. The government should also continue to encourage people to take personal responsibility for their future. During the election campaign, all parties spoke of the importance of small business to our economy. In fact, we are looking to small business to be the primary engine for economic growth and job creation in Canada. If it is the role of government to create an environment to stimulate private enterprise, what can we do to show entrepreneurs that we mean business? First, we must allow them to operate free from the growing burden of taxation, employer contributions, and paperwork they now face. Our priority should be to make it easier for them to hire new employees. Government must change its attitude and realize that the vast majority of business people are honest, law-abiding citizens who do not need bureaucrats and government auditors looking over their shoulders. Let's address the question of financing for small business through innovative use of the tax system. Just as we should encourage those who create jobs, we should use the tax system aggressively to reward individuals who invest in Canadian startup companies. An example of a real problem we face as we move further into the information age is how to finance small software companies with few, if any, capital assets. Their main asset is brain power. And though a high percentage of new high-tech companies fail, those who succeed more than compensate for that risk. This has been proven many times in my riding, Mr. Speaker. The well-known success stories inevitably spin off new companies. This may be an opportunity to put the capital gains tax exemption to good use by rewarding risk takers. Low-risk investments do not need support from other taxpayers. Business associations have been saying for years that government handouts to large businesses should end. Let us take those groups at their word and channel money from existing grant programs toward funding tax incentives for job creation. Grants would remain available to small businesses as their more stringent cash flow requirements make it difficult for them to take advantage of tax incentives. One government-funded program that has received far too little credit comes under the Community Futures Program of the Department of Human Resources Development. Local business development centers provide loans as well as technical advice to new or existing companies. And over the past 6 years, the Business Development Center in Lanark-Carleton has been responsible for the creation of several hundred jobs at little cost to the taxpayer. And as we look for expenditures to cut, I hope ministers will recognize the importance of maintaining this community-based program. The first budget of this new government is only one step along the road toward renewed prosperity and job creation. The coming months will see the development of complementary programs that were outlined in the Liberal election platform, creating opportunity. As a responsible and caring government, we must never lose sight of Canadians who are the casualties of global economic forces. As Canadians, we are in this together. We do need to ensure that scarce financial resources are directed where they will be most effective. I wish the Minister of Finance well as he and his colleagues continue to work on dismantling inter-provincial trade barriers, and the sooner the better. I also believe we should keep in mind that real job creation comes from the creation of wealth, not its redistribution. The Minister is faced with making exceedingly difficult choices in the certain knowledge that he will not please everyone. The people of Lanark-Carleton will be looking for a budget that rewards initiative, inspires hope, and restores a sense of fairness in the way the government operates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I see only the member for Edmonton Southwest. He has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is more to my honourable colleague by way of an observation than a question, because as I listened to my colleague's presentation, I was struck by the fact of the common sense embedded in virtually everything that I heard. And I want you to know that there are some very strong parallels on both sides of this House. If you could, though, in a couple of minutes, could you expand on the notion, or could the member expand on the motion, or the notion of income splitting for families? This is Mr. Speaker, this is a question that has come up time and time again, the inequities in our tax system posed between working parents, where two parents are working, and when you have the sacrifices made with a stay-at-home family.
Carleton, please.
Speaker, well, this is one that has been of particular interest to me personally over the years, but I've not pursued it primarily for the reason that in my previous job I enjoyed a high income, and it was always my sense that if someone talked about the problems that high income earners face with the tax system, that they should be dismissed as perhaps complainers who don't deserve to be complaining. But when one looks at the burden of taxes on upper middle income earners, and if you consider that a family could be 5 or 6 people, getting by on the income of one person, one starts to realize that there is, I believe, quite a bit of unfairness embedded in the tax system. And I had my suspicions confirmed really during the election campaign when I would go door to door, and typically it'd be during the daytime when I would meet again, typically women who are at home raising their children and feeling the pinch from high taxes very much. So I think it's only fair that the government make this change partly to recognize that people who do stay home to look after their children are providing a real benefit to society. I think most of us would agree that it's in the interests of the children and the interests of society if they are able to be brought up by their parents. And so I have not looked into the the intricacies of such a change. I'm sure it's been suggested in the past. I'm sure the Department of Finance must have looked at this as an option, but it's one that I intend to explore in the coming days, and I thank the honourable member for his comments.
Thank you. Since there's nobody else standing, I think we'd be proper to go to the next speaker. Are you on the resuming debate or on questions and comments?
Resuming debate.
Yes, it's the member for Capilano House Sound on debate.